How would you describe your relationship with money in one word?
There's one say, Poopy, Stinky, bum bums. Working class background, stereotypical story, not enough money, want to get more money.
How much are you thinking about the price of things?
The weekly shop and when I pop into co-ops and corner shops are two completely separate activities. I always used to joke about, listen, I just want enough money to go to a co-op and not check my bank account. You'll never catch me cooking bacon, apart from like that scarcity mindset. Honestly, it doesn't go away. It constantly feels like it's going to be taken away from me. And then my mum got written off sick, so we managed to keep things going. But there was an absolute there was a clamp down.
What is the one piece of money advice that has helped you that you would offer to other people?
I'll appeal to my ADHD folk. When the paycheck lands.
So James, here we are. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
I've given you a little list of things to introduce yourself with. Can you just rattle through those bad boys?
All right, I'll try my best to remember. So my name's James Gayle. I'm 27. I work in marketing. I own 2 companies there. I am privately renting at the moment, and I have an okay-ish salary, I feel.
Okay-ish, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. James, how would you describe your relationship with money in one word?
How does one say, Poopy, Stinky, bum bums? That's my relationship with money.
Okay, Poopy, Stinky, bum bums.
Yes, yeah, you never have enough of it. That's working class background, stereotypical story, not enough money, want to get more money, gets money disappears. Where'd it go? That's the standard equation that I feel like I've gone through a lot. Getting better as I go along. There's a lot, so much self-learning that comes with having to start, businesses, having to screw head on at some point. So it's not like I gamble or smoke or drink or, do anything stupid. It just feels like there's never enough, even when it's actually been enough. So I think there's more of a psychological thing going on there.
Okay, interesting. And would you say you were good with money, having gone through that kind of process?
Yes and no. So what I end up at the start of every month, I use Starling and I'll make pots for everything. All bills always get paid, right? But if there's money sat in the empty bit, a couple of co-op trips later, a couple of Mackie D's drive-throughs, I don't know where it went. That's the kind of, so if there's spare money knocking about, that's when it disappears. But I'm never in any debts. They're always paid and things like that. That's my trouble. I burn through what I see as spare money, right? Boy math, girl math, that kind of stuff.
Does that come under good for you? Is that good with money bills are paid? You happy with that?
I mean, I always class it as not doing as bad as someone else. Like it's always someone lower on the totem pole in terms of actually doing things the way you should. So yeah, I think it's okay enough because I'm just scared enough of the consequences to make sure I pay things on time, even if I want to spend on something else.
So it's all through fear. It's all through fear.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's not a good relationship. There's just not enough money. It's want. It's not enough. It's not good enough. It's all of that stuff. And I think you often get your money lessons from your parents often. So I think a lot of that is I've got one parent that's super fearful around money. And I've got another one that's kind of more manifest destiny around money. So there's those two sides of me constantly clash, I feel.
Oh, really? And do you think that is quite an intense effect on you, your parents' ways of looking at money?
Yeah, and they don't have arguments about it or anything. It's just it's the general vibe you get from each one. One is a lot more risk averse and will. It's my dad. My dad is super risk averse, and he's like, good old solid job, can't go wrong. It's a running joke in our family. Whenever I've gone after business ventures, like, don't worry, if you mess up, there's always the council. You can always work for the council. So there is that element, and then I've got my mum, who's a bit more of a dreamer and aspirational there in terms of how she thinks about money. So it's good that I have that purview. I mean, a lot of people don't have a viewpoint like that in their life, and I think the two actually balance each other out quite nicely in a way, because the fear part keeps the bills paid, and the dreamer part keeps me pushing to do things like this. Because again, we're recording in Hampshire Podcast Studios, which is one of my businesses, which has only just started, mind you. It's the second one, so yeah.
So do you think you are the perfect mix between those two things, or do you lean one way or the other?
Oh, I definitely lean more in the dreamer aspirational way, which
Okay.
is why I overspend, because I'm in charge of my income. In my head, if there's not enough money, I should just work to get more. So it's a little bit of an American libertarian view of money in that sense. But I'm also well aware that probably shouldn't think that way all the time. And sometimes I should just be more fiscally conservative. The one thing I'm awful at is saving.
Right.
I'll pay the bills, but saving hurts my soul, because that means no fun. That means no things I actually like to do, because you know what the economy is like now. It's pretty mental in terms of money. Just seems like it flies out the door if it's more expensive. So the thought of putting any enjoyment in my life away and I can't access it for the prospect of buying a house, when that seems very far out of reach as well, it will get political, I'm sure of that. But like that is kind of, again, even phrasing it like that, that's my relationship with savings. Is not good.
Right. Okay. And do you think you've changed how your relationship with money is over the years? Has it sort of altered as you've sort of grown up?
Yeah, I've had to learn and progress. You have to, and especially because I think one of the biggest things and learnings were, especially when I first started my business, I'd always worked salaries and all that stuff. If anyone's never gone freelance before, there is this weird gap / experience that no one prepares you for, where you suddenly have to quote for yourself. One, you don't know your own value. Two, you don't know how to explain that. But then there's if it's actually fairly high, what you deem as high. Like for ages, I was stuck in I couldn't charge customers more than 1,000. It scared me, because it felt like I'd be laughed out of the room, or they'd call the police on me for trying to rob them. So especially when we were doing so much work for such little money, that actually for quite a long time in the business, I was underselling myself to such a severe degree because of my impasse with money, because I'd never seen that much money in an account before I started a business. And businesses, lots of things go to other different places, but just to see the monthly spend is I've never, like sometimes you look at the phone and it's not like there was millions in there, and it would all go to salaries and other things like that for other people. But I was just like, I could take that and run away to Acapulco, like it would be stuff like that I thought was removed from my head, like, run away, there's a lot of money there, take it, run away. HMRC, don't look at that. But that's the thoughts that go through your head. It's strange, isn't it?
And you mentioned just then, looking at your phone, you mentioned earlier how you use Starling and you have pots and things like that. For me, when I was in my 20s, I would avoid looking at my bank account as much as possible. These days, it's every single day.
Yeah.
Where are you at with it? How often are you checking?
I check it every day. Yeah. Because there was always going to be a bill that comes out when you don't want it to, things like that. But there's also, it's just easier now. Like I think probably me and you, we are one of the last generations that will remember that you had to go to a cash point to check how much money was in there. And like that, that's bonkers when I think about that's what we had to do. But so I think we'll be the last to remember. So at first I'm like, it didn't really bother me that much. But because I also did a lot of wage payments and things like that through it, you got me more in the habit of using my phone and mobile banking for a lot of different things.
What are you looking for, do you think, when you're checking? You say you're looking at every day. I mean, I guess I'm looking for reassurance when I'm looking at it. Is it the same for you?
Well, a lot of it is, for me, the reason I'd open it is to one, check if I've got enough money for that sandwich in the co-op, and then secondly, it's seeing if client invoices have come through. So that's another big reason. So I've got a different business bank account, my personal bank account. And I've got my first bank account you ever open. You've got that legacy bank you stay with. So I'm with NatWest for that one, and that just kind of sits over there doing. It kind of holds any savings I do have, will just stick over there, keeping it active. So yeah, that's the game plan. So it's a lot of it just checking if something has dropped in, if I need to reallocate things, because things are in pots. If I haven't got, because now on Starling you can set bills to come out of different pots, right? So if I haven't set that up and one's trying to come out of the main one, but the money wasn't in the float, so that's why I'm always checking, did I put it in the right place? So a lot of it's admin work as well.
Let's go to the co-op then, James. You've walked through the doors, you spotted the sandwich of your dreams.
Simply ham coming in hot.
What's your thought process? Think of it more as a sort of a weekly shop, wherever you go to the supermarket. How much are you thinking about the price of things as you go in? Are you not thinking about it at all? Are you agonizing over every item? Are you looking at the grammage per your kilogram to pound ratio? What's your sort of mindset going in?
So I'm quite a lazy shopper, but the weekly shop and when I pop into co-ops and corner shops are two completely separate activities.
Really?
So I have pot put aside for the weekly food shop. So I designate that already. That's taken care of. We usually do it all Iceland and then freeze as much stuff as possible so it lasts longer, or there is the option of part Iceland for meats to make sure they don't go off, and then get the rest from Lidl. So the combo of like the most cost-effective thing. So apart from choosing the cost-effective shops to go to, I'm not a micro shopper in terms of looking at grammage and things like that. I'm more just like automate, done, because I haven't got that much time to fuss over it, to be fair. The co-ops, however, they're a completely different thing. I go in there pretending I've got unlimited money. Used to be something I say is like a goal, which is a bad goal to say, because from a business manifestation point of view, I always used to joke, be like, listen, I just want enough money to go into a co-op and not check my bank account. Like that's all that's all I want.
That's the ceiling for you.
Not asking for the world here. So that was the worldview. It kind of still is for all intents and purposes. Because again, I'm not trying to build an empire here, $1 billion company. You know, I just want to make some cool stuff, make a living for the family, and also enjoy my life at the same time. So I'm not trying to take over the world per se, at some days. But you know, that's by the by. But yeah, that's been like an ethos of mine for ages. And it's weird, but I will accidentally always go overboard because my vice is sweet shop trips and things like that. That's I don't smoke or drink, but give me that 3 for £1 fizzy sweet deal, mate. Oh, I'm like a junkie.
And so when it comes to the weekly shop, when you're in a relationship, it's an interesting dynamic. You might have different ideas. There might be a clash. Mm-hmm. How often do you talk to your partner about money?
A lot, because my partner's the better one with money.
Okay.
And that's good. She's a great saver, which is good. And if it was up to me, I would farm the entirety of our financial management over to her,
right.
because sometimes I just don't trust myself with it. Again, when you just look at that money, you go, Acapulco. So, because I love tech as well, so there'll be like, I'm obsessed with drones at the moment, and I keep looking at drones going, I mean, it's not that. Think of the investment. It could make more money. And I sell myself on stuff constantly. Like, I'm not sure if this goes back to the lack of things. But as a kid, around Christmas, I was a born salesman. As soon as Windows 7 or XP was on the PC, I was on PowerPoint making Christmas presentations. Right? Here's why I need the wee woo robot from Xiaomi or whatever, and I would go through it. There would literally be like animations, like cool effects, like, and I would make my parents sit down and be like, "Thank you for coming to the quarterly update. We're gonna click through here." So it used to be, and I used to write, even letters to Santa as a kid. It used to be. And I don't know why this is correlated, like, because I still believed in Santa at the time. He's still there, folks. Don't worry. I would write not only what I wanted, I put product code and recommended retail price on the letter that I put through the thingy, just in case. From a labour point of view, the elves can't make everything, so maybe they got outsourced to Argos. So that used to be on there all the time, right? So,
and that wasn't from I know it's my parents, really. You're doing it for Santa.
Yeah, for a while. But then I was just like, well, this translates perfectly anyway. It's just a weird habit. So I've been pitching since day one, because in my head, some of the things I wanted might have been out of like budget or scope. So I'm like, if I put enough story and reasoning into this, I reckon I can pull this off. I was little Jordan Belfort walking around going, a deal just came across my desk, John, since day one. So it's a bit of a weird one there. But yeah, and now it's just kind of devolved into, just want a sandwich.
Yeah.
Just want a sandwich.
What's the RRP of an AM?
Yeah.
Basic ham.
Send it through to my mum. Like, how would you feel about a cost transfer for a sandwich? I'm looking at the stock board here. So I don't know how traders talk, but yeah, that's me.
Well, it sounds like your kind of money conversations with your family and your partner are good.
Yeah.
What about
it's not a super taboo subject, but I just know what I'm very self-aware of me. So I think that's the best I've got in that sense.
Okay. And what about with your friends? How often are you talking about money with your friends?
Well, guys aren't particularly known for sharing feelings or things that are like private, so not often. Like, my friend group is extremely diverse in that sense of, like, we got some people completely different opposite ends of the spectrum, and my income has fluctuated up and down over the last few years, as is the nature of business. So it's not something it's talked about at all, really, because if someone's doing well, if someone isn't in a friend group, the last thing you want to be seen to do is feel like you're showing off.
Because it's awkward.
Yeah, it's awkward. So you've got someone looking for work, and then like, let's say like someone else, a company doing well, it's a complete juxtaposition. So you just don't go there. You don't go there. Maybe we should though. And again, I know this is a thing for guys where if you're doing activities side by side, apparently men benefit from that instead of across the table conversations.
Right.
Because from apparently, and this is not my Rogan facts here,
Nice.
the prehistoric element was like confrontational, forward facing, cooperation, side facing. So, yeah, maybe we just need to play golf or something. Well, not a golf guy.
So at the bar, that makes sense, doesn't it? Right, you're on the spinny chairs.
Yep. That's
Perfect.
probably the methodology. Yeah.
Lovely stuff.
Yeah.
When someone says, "I can't afford this,"
Mm-hmm.
how do you interpret that? What does that mean to you?
Well, that's where I usually jump in with the pep talk.
Oh, really? You're a pep talk man.
Yeah. I was like, what do you mean you can't? You'll get it eventually. It depends on it depends on what it is. Like it can be completely different depending on, especially if it depends on that person's financial situation. If I've got a rough idea, I'm not going to start giving pep talks when someone's on universal credit. So it's just like, usually I would just shut my face. But if it's like someone directly in my family, like if my sister or my mum's, oh, that'd be cool. I'm like, well, let's figure out a game plan to do it. And then we'll get on the right bunch of stuff now and we'll come up with a bunch of ideas. Like I think most people in my family have started like little side hustles now based on me just going fucking manic energy at 3 a.m. writing them notes and stuff. So, yeah.
And rogue ham sandwiches and sweet splurges aside, what's your biggest money regret, do you think?
Definitely not prioritize, because there's so many different methodologies out there, right, for how you're supposed to do things. I think, and there's a current regret right now, I don't have a solid emergency fund for anything.
Right.
All I've got is like one credit card, like a £500 limit. Because for some reason I'm a grown ass man, but no one wants to give me more than that, even though I've got a good credit score. Don't get it. But that's the only thing I'd fall back on. So that is a in the back anxiety.
Okay, then opposite question to that. What's been your best investment?
Ooh.
I know you haven't got the drone yet.
Well, yeah, on that topic, it would be camera equipment. So these have been business purchases for a point, but it's been for clients we bought things incrementally. And because we had all the kit, it actually allowed me to start Hampshire Podcast Studios because we'd incrementally bought all the stuff we needed. So I think that was definitely a big plus because now I can make more money with the thing I've made. Also, I think financing my first computer. Like,
okay,
I'd always had like work laptops and things like that. Like, laptops are such a big purchase. Like, my family would never want to, like, they couldn't buy me a laptop for Christmas. Like, that would have to be done with. I think the first laptop I really bought myself was using student finance and just using a big chunk of that to get myself a laptop that got me through uni. But then I financed like a full gaming PC with the full intention to game at first, but then actually it allowed me to start the business as it was because it was strong enough to play games, which it was strong enough to edit videos, strong enough for graphic design. And that helped me make all of this happen. Still sat in my cupboard right now.
I guess the computer thing goes hand in hand with the PowerPoints at Christmas, right?
Yeah. You should have seen this whole business thing coming. To be fair, I didn't think for ages I would ever do it because I'm really bad at maths. And this is another insecurity that, I had to have. My mum, bless her, did a bunch of overtime shifts as a carer for someone who ended up being my tutor for a while to help me get through GCSEs. So my mum did a whole bunch of nasty stuff, cleaning and wiping and all the stuff just to get me to get a C in maths. And luckily I pulled it off. I wouldn't have done it without extra help, which means I wouldn't be able to get into college, uni, any of it. So that, I think the insecurity around money comes from the fact that, like, I'm very dyslexic around numbers. Like, if you presented me a spreadsheet, I'm like, but if you put it in a PowerPoint, I can just read it better. I think it's about how I visually interpret information, something about the lines and bars that really do me in. So that's why I like new age apps like Starling, because it just presents it in a way that's a lot easier for me to get.
But that hasn't stopped you from doing well, right? 27, you've had a couple of businesses, you're running this studio on top of a marketing business, you're on what you think is an okay-ish salary.
Yeah. I think it would be perfect in a better economy without inflation and everything. I'm sure everyone feels that way at the moment.
But the maths thing hasn't got in your way. It hasn't.
No, because I'm stubborn as a mule. I wouldn't let it. That I think that's the obviously with podcasts and everything. If you ever look at my personal Instagram or my LinkedIn, I do a lot of video content. My weapon is my words. It always has been. And I'm never going to be able to keep up with someone who's very commercially brained on looking at, exploit this opportunity, cut that cost, and in between we can get into the market that way. I'm going to get in the market with a lot of flash and pizzazz and sales element because that's my unique advantage. So I just double down on what my unique advantage was, because I just kind of refuse to be told that I can't do anything. If you ever want me to get me to do something, never tell me to do it.
Do the opposite.
Suggest it or sell it as a great idea, because my brain will shut it down immediately. Like, no, I'm not doing that. I've got into huge fights before. Like, don't tell me what to do. Even it makes complete sense and I would like to do it. But now you've told me, I will never do it. So it's probably good that no one's ever really given me financial advice, because I've probably been like, no, I'm buying a jet ski. And then I would just go buy a jet ski because I'm that stubborn. It makes no sense, but here we are.
All right, another big life question for you then, James. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
If there was one money conversation you could have with someone else that would improve your life the most, what would it be and who would it be with?
That is a really good question.
It's a toughie.
Is this one where I can go back in time and have this conversation? Or is this like, right now I have to talk to anyone that can improve my financial situation?
Up to you.
I think if you add the back in time option, I would... Because obviously in that scenario, you can talk to your past self and just talk about how, like, the feeling of not having enough money won't go away. And being in circles where you feel like people do have money, you won't not feel out of place, but you just shouldn't care anyway. And you should just plow ahead, which I do anyway. But I think I would have been a lot quicker to the game if I would have given myself that pep talk going back a little while. I think I would go back and actually have a conversation with my dad about scarcity mindset. Because I think it's in the Psychology of Money, the book we've got happily displayed in the studio, about just, it constantly feels like it's going to be taken away from me. I'm not sure how to explain it, but it's like you live, if you because it's not like I'm a millionaire. Like I earn a fairly middle manager marketing salary, really, when we think about it, right? The advantages come with freedom and all the rest of it. But, you know, from some sense, I've done okay. It feels a bit like I'm a leopard that's dragged my prey into the tree, but the lion could spot me at any minute. So I've got to wolf it down before someone takes it. That's what it feels like. I'm not sure if it's for anyone else who comes from more of a working class background, or maybe his family's done well. And then, so for instance, my mum had like 3 jobs at one point, and my dad was on and off employed. And then my mum got written off sick. So then she was just immediately, she couldn't work. But then, I'm not sure, at some point the paperwork wasn't filled out right, so we never got any financial support. So we went from 3 jobs to, and probably my dad's income as well, to like nothing. So we managed to keep things going, but there was an absolute, there was a clamp down on pretty much everything. Like, I'm trained to leave any, you'll never catch me cooking bacon, apart from it's a weird analogy, but you'll never catch me cooking, that's a main meal meat, right? If each meat is designated for a day of the week, you can't touch it because then you've ruined the main meal, right? So you can go down and make a bacon at 3 a.m. I will never do that. Sometimes I'll let food go off because I'm too scared to cook it, because back in my head it's I can't use that for main meals. So it can be a bit of an emotional subject when I really dive into it. But that scarcity mindset, honestly, it doesn't go away. And this builds into imposter syndrome, especially because a lot of the time I'm in circles and networking meetings where just hearing people laugh, your credit score goes up. You hear it, I'm just oh fuck, I shouldn't be here. I'm too you're constantly I'm too ghetto to be here. I'm too. The other day I was at a networking event. This is and there was a guy who'd gone to Oxford. And he obviously, the first thing he told this group as he came in was I went to Oxford. And there's only 2 things they taught you at Oxford. One was to learn, and the second was to drink. Drink up, lads. Bearing in mind, red maroon velvet jacket.
Yeah, the pink trouser brigade. I can see it now.
And all my brain's going, I'll rob you as soon as we get off this. Never robbed anyone in my life. But I was I might turn to a life of crime just because I hate you so much. But that's But I know obviously it's just the politics of envy. It's not good to think like that, but you can't stop the immediate reaction because I know what your world must have been like, and mine wasn't like it.
For a fact he's chomping on bacon sandwiches daily.
Yeah, he's never had to think about bacon in his life.
Never.
He's never had to think about main meal meats.
No.
Or have you bought enough soups or packet of 20p noodles for emergencies? They've never got him through. And I think, but that adds to the fire of why I do what I do.
Yeah.
And there's probably some therapy in there to be done to balance out the use of it for determination, but also to calm yourself. because there is, as you get older, you do heal in some ways. I feel like I've done a good job of healing my inner child, but the next step is the angry teenager.
Right.
And that's, I think, where I'm at now, because sometimes I see people driving big fancy cars or on boats or going to Oxford, and I'm like, because it's just, when you're trying to come up, it's a struggle.
Yes.
It's a struggle. And I'm like, you'll never, like, and people have it worse than me. And I know that. And sometimes I feel guilty for my own privilege. So it's a whole, it's a minefield. It's a minefield.
But you mentioning the guy in the car there, there's, again, in the psychology of money, there's a man in the car paradox, right? So he's talking about when he used to work as like a car porter outside a hotel. And he used to see these amazing cars drive through and be envious of the people driving it. But what he points out is that when someone sees a nice car, they never think of the person driving the car. If you see a cool Ferrari, you're like, oh, that's a cool Ferrari. You never think about the guy driving it.
Well, this is the difference. I think about the guy driving it.
Really?
Or gal driving it, yeah. Because I know they somehow managed to afford that. How did they do it? Why do I not have that and they do?
Interesting.
That's where my brain would go. Like I would, and this is not psychologically healthy. It's very toxic. But in my mind, I'm like, I get this is what I need to work on. I get seething hatred. I'm like, oh, why? And I'm like, because you bust your ass to work, and just like, it doesn't feel like I have the same reward as you do. You're playing a different game. When you make money, you put it in and it makes you more money. I ain't got the level of money that makes me money. So it is a constant spiral down. So you really do have to catch yourself, and I really try to. Like I'd never be able to, like, if things got rough, I'd go back to probably like retail or sales or something, because I wouldn't be able to work at a fancy hotel or anything like that. I think I would go mad. I wouldn't be able to be surrounded, but I would become some kind of revolutionary. Like I'm immediately getting the hammer and sickle out. Like I'm not. I couldn't do it. So yeah, it's just an interesting place to be.
Final big question for you then, James. This isn't really an advice podcast, but I think it's always helpful to get some kind of advice from everyday people like yourself. What is the one piece of money advice that has helped you that you would offer to other people? And this can be a rule that you followed, something someone's told you, something small, something big, whatever sort of fits the mold for you.
You know, this is going to be super basic advice to anyone that is semi good with money or a little bit further down the line, but I'll appeal to my ADHD folk. When the paycheck lands, automatically divvy it before you do anything else. So as soon as you get that notification, drop what you're doing, put the things in pots, and then it's okay. Because I've been forgetful at times and not done it, or you know, one big bill comes out when you didn't expect it, it's messed up something else, right? So the only advice I can give, not being very good with money, I can offer plenty of advice about how to make more money, but saving it, things like that, I'm terrible with. And, you know, find ways to fractionally save, I guess. Like I'm terrible. I still find pain in putting money aside that I can't touch or use. Again, leopard in a tree, feel like it's going to be taken. But put everything aside straight away, so you know everything's paid. And if you don't have like a bank with like pockets or anything like that, get one alongside a traditional bank, because I've heard, and you can check me on this, but it's good to have like a legacy bank and one of those new age banks, because legacy banks are essentially going to be the ones to lend to you for mortgages and things like that. Right. Or if you want to start a business, so having some kind of rapport with them is a good idea. So that's the only advice I can give for someone being pretty terrible with money, but I'm working on it. That's the only thing I could say.
Use pots.
Yes.
James's advice.
Use pots. Do it as fast as humanly possible. Money aside, no stress.
Lovely stuff. Well, James, thanks so much for being on the podcast.
Thanks for having me, bro.
And don't worry, mate. The money's not been taken away from you.
Yet.
Yet.
It could be anywhere, yeah.